Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Relish the Journey. I'm your host, Miles Biggs, and we are excited to have you here for another awesome conversation today. Just a quick reminder, and of course, shameless plug on my part, but you're listening to Relish the Journey, a top 15 podcast in the U.S. by New York Weekly for 2020. You made it number 5 on that list, and it's because of awesome guests like you are about to meet. And after you're done listening to the podcast, be sure you subscribe to it wherever you get your podcast so that you never miss an episode. And also, like the ticker says, you can check out my TEDx talk and book over at milesbiggs.com. So without further ado, let's meet our guest. We're going to talk to Paul today from Dorsi Health. And Dorsi Health is a leading player in the CBD industry. So without further ado, here we go. Click Paul. Nice to have you on the show, man.
Hi, Miles. Nice to be here.
So let's get into it. Let's talk about Dorsi Health. Why don't you tell me who the company is, what it is you all do, and why folks should buy from you, right? What are we talking about today?
Sure. So Dorsi Health is a Philadelphia-based CBD brand that gets its supply from Kentucky, Colorado. Everything is third-party tested. We carry products tailored towards people 35 plus that we see would benefit most from CBD. We're also socially conscious in the fact that we donate 5% of profits back to Shatterproof, an organization that helps out with the opioid epidemic. We're community focused. We are price conscious as well. So those are kind of the pillars that we have. Socially conscious, we're community based, and we just have great products.
Sure. So that all sounds awesome. But if we take it back to day one, right? You had this crazy idea to start a company, right? Where did it start? How did Dorsi Health get started in the CBD space?
Sure. So it actually started, I want to say in 2014, actually. So my business partner, David, he is an entrepreneur at heart, right? So I was helping him build his own e-commerce platform for some different products that he sold. And it was around 2014, end of 2014, where he mentioned to me about CBD. He saw a video called Weed One by Sanjay Gupta on CNN. And he said, this is going to be the next kind of big product that takes off. This was 2014, before the big rush in 2018, 2019. So I said, I really don't see it. And I really don't see like CBD or weed. I didn't know what CBD was at that time, taking off. And I just kind of doing my own education. We had some consultants that work with us, from pharmacists to growers as well. And we really took a deep dive in 2017, looked at some different farms that were part of the pilot program in Kentucky. One of the consultants that worked with us, a pharmacist, actually came up with the roll-on that we sell right now. He said this is kind of a perfect formulation to add cannabinoid in. And I was going to school at the time, getting my MBA, and I really looked into pricing strategies and kind of the market that was there for CBD products and the void that was left there. And I saw that it was tailored towards the consumers that were 18 to the 25. They look cool smoking, their vape and taking their gummies. But the people that benefited most from it was kind of like ignored in the marketplace.
Sure.
So we really decided to go all in once, David said, hey, this is a great product. He got the consultant on board, and I was like, I want in. We went full in. We looked at kind of the vertical integration at first, meaning we would control the whole supply chain. We would get an equity investment in the farm, but just the capital outlay of that and kind of, what we were trying to do at the time, it didn't make sense. So we focused on launching the brand. We finally got started in 2018. So it was a 4-year process, and launched the brand for online sales and retail sales in 2018.
That's awesome. And you said something I think is worth noting, right? You mentioned the term weed, and then how kids think they look cool smoking and doing their edibles, right? So if people are watching this or listening to this and they don't really even know still what's the difference between marijuana and CBD, what is that?
Right. So it comes from the cannabis plant, right? So you have marijuana, which is one plant from the cannabis plant, and then you have a hemp plant. Marijuana is high in THC, so that's the weed that you'll see that people are fighting for recreational status on that. Right. But in the hemp plant, that was actually legal for agriculture in 2014 with the passage of the Farm Bill in 2018. You could do interstate sales of hemp products that contain less than 0.3% THC. So hemp or CBD is a cannabinoid that has no psychoactive element like its cousin THC, but is known for some health benefits as well. So two totally different elements. And inside the hemp plant, there's many other cannabinoids and terpenes that you get health benefit from, but no psychoactive elements from.
Got it. So what are some of those health benefits? Like what's the reason why somebody would use a CBD product?
Sure. So actually in Israel, there were some studies done that it helped with pain receptors. It also helped with anti-anxiety. So the purported benefits are anti-anxiety, anti-stress. It helps people calm down. So it helps with sleep. And that's kind of what our products are focused on. So they're not gimmicky kind of gummies. They're focused on the end benefits to consume.
Got it. So now we've got the background if people are new to this, and let's get back to the company itself. You went all in, like you said, you launched, show's called Relish the Journey. It's a journey in business. So if you look back at the beginning, what were some of the early successes and failures?
Yeah, so I'll start with the failures because we had a lot of them within the first 4 years. I mean, it's really hard starting a business, and that's something that people don't see, right? They only see the end result of a business. But I mean, just getting off the ground, we had to look at our supply chain, right? So where we're going to get the products from, where we're going to get the raw materials, where we're going to manufacture the products. Like I said, touch base on before, we looked at vertical integration. We actually looked at a farm in Oregon, and it was in a flood zone. Thank God we didn't put an equity investment in there because it was just a mess. So those were the kind of bottlenecks we ran into, right? Where are we going to get our raw products from? That was a 3-year process in and of itself. Yeah, until we found, we partnered with a farm. We went actually down to Kentucky, visited with a farm, and was able to produce. It was kind of a niche program, and Kentucky is kind of really ripe for hemp. It's going to be the number 2 it already is the number 2 cash crop in the state. So the failure was actually trying to find supply. Another failure, Miles, is the fact that you can't do any paid digital marketing for your product either. So
oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So really, you can't do Google AdWords. You can't do paid Instagram. You could do influencers, but you can't do paid ads on Facebook or social or Google Ads. You can do some SEO. You can use an email database, but just the overall advertising you can't do. And also, when you look at the digital ecosystem and when you're starting your own brand and you're like, I want to sell, right? People don't understand. People don't want to buy from somebody they don't know. So you need that brand awareness. But a quick start to selling your product is going on Amazon and eBay. Amazon controls anywhere from 35 to 50% of e-commerce sales, right? You can't sell CBD on Amazon. So, I mean, that was a really a big bottleneck that we ran into. So supply chain and actually getting the product out there. To go off that, some success that we found was, just going in retail stores, and we didn't realize there was a huge demand for it, and people were open to it, and people sold. So we got into retail in about 2018, as soon as we launched. At the same time, we started doing events. With events, we not only sold the product, but we were able to build an email base. So really,
Right.
some of the failures led to some of the big successes that we have right now. So we have a retail strategy and also an event strategy as well. So we all learned from the failures we had early on.
Yeah, it goes back to probably a reason why you're community based. Like you're right, you had to build
Oh yeah,
that actual in-person community. So the pandemic had to be hard then, right? A lot of those events probably shut off and people went digital, but if you can't play in the paid game, how did you guys handle all of that?
sure. So what we did actually, we looked at some different tactics. So not all paid advertising is, off limits, right? So there's you could do Yahoo native ads. So we did that. We were fortunate enough where even though it was shut down, in PA it was shut down for, I want to say, in some retail locations for months until the summer. We were fortunate enough to ride that wave out from our customer base. We saw a huge spike in e-commerce sales. Actually, e-commerce grew over 200% in, I want to say, March, April, and May, those 3 months. So we were able to recoup some of the revenue that we lost from online sales. And then once those stores opened back up, we actually got a nice bump in retail sales in May and June. And we did have socially distant and, abiding by locality laws on COVID, some events that we launched in the fall. So we were able to, it's not a perfect linear, space with the events in 2020, but we were able to do some events, actually get into a few retailers as well, and sell online. And actually one of the retailers that we work, one vertical in retail that we work with is physical therapy and pharmacists. So they were open during the pandemic. So we were able to, continue to sell those, and the demand for CBD was high in those spaces. So that's where we got our retail sales in those months when it was shut down, those essential businesses.
Yeah, I imagine, people dealing with stress and anxiety, right, during all of that, the height of the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes sense why you saw a spike, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So another thing I was curious about, right? You're not the only game in town, right? A lot of people, when that bill passed in 2014 and then in 2018, when you could go across state lines, also saw the opportunity. So with all of that, how do you stay relevant? How do you differentiate your brand and set yourself apart from competition?
Right. So it's just a crowded space. It's a low barrier of entry too. People can do a ton of different tactics with just drop shipping products, opening up a store online and drop shipping products, which some people do. Some people do white label products, and some other people are fully vertically integrated or some hybrid like us. One thing that we did to stay relevant was really just continue to focus on our market. So that being the Philadelphia area, and go to direct to retailers. So we're in about 35 retail locations. Some of those retail locations have multiple storefronts. So from that, we were able to get a nice base. We also looked at locally sourced events, which builds a customer base there, and also just SEO. That has been big for us. So a lot of blogging, a lot of link building, a lot of different tactics online to help us grow there. Where we differentiate is really our pricing and our product line, right? So I would say there's three different players within the market. There's the premium players, which are the Charlotte's Web, which was back with Sanjay Gupta. He did his 2014 documentary on Charlotte's Web and the girl Charlotte, who was suffering from these crazy seizures, and CBD helped her out. So that's a premium brand. That's what we call premium brand, them, CBD, MD, and Green Roads. So those are the brands that they have a good product, but you're paying premium price for it. Then there's the mid-tier players. So they can either look at market share or increase their price to where they're making enough margin on the product where they don't have to sell as much volume, but they're making money. And then there's the imitators, what I call. So they're the people that actually sell something that's called hemp oil and not CBD. And that's actually prevalent on Amazon. It's crazy. Where we differentiate is really the price. So the farm that we get the product from is a farm. They use the same farming techniques. They use the same extraction techniques. The manufacturing firm uses the same distillation techniques as some of the premium brands. But with us, you're getting the price at 15 to 20% lower because of just how we're built. So we don't have huge overhead, which allows us to decrease the price. We also have, it's not great for branding so much, but we don't have a lot of add-ons to our products. So, right, the tinctures go in the store. They're not boxed in a custom box, which increases the price per unit. And people don't understand they're paying for all that when they get a product at a store. So we have a very minimalist product design, which allows us to be kind of nimble and agile with our pricing. So our pricing is the biggest factor, and the quality, and the fact that we are Philadelphia based, and we focus on Philadelphia organically, and then we spread out. So we're in, a couple places in Boston right now, but we're very strategic about how we grow and how we expand.
Got it. That's smart. And you mentioned earlier, right? You focused on 35-year-olds, right? Like the older generation, not the people that think it's cool. People that are actually using this for a medicinal need they have, right? They're looking for relief of something. So you identified that need and that gap. So what are some ways that you've really focused in on that, besides maybe pricing and packaging, like you mentioned, are some of those, but are there any others?
Yeah, absolutely. Packaging is one. So if you look at our brand, it has the lotus flower leaf, actually. So it's not a hemp leaf or something that is kind of trendy. It's very what they call aged down. So it's not intimidating to someone who never used marijuana before or isn't familiar with CBD and thinks it's marijuana. So we age our product down for a reason. We focus on certain products. So we focus on oil, we focus on topicals, and we focus on niche capsules. So capsules that are designed for sleep. So CBD, ashwagandha, chamomile, and valerian root. So that's kind of our sleep product. Our topicals are CBD, menthol, boswellia extract, and a few other ingredients for pain. Also, we meet the 35 market where they're shopping, right? So Amazon will be great because that's where everyone shops online, really. And we see that people start their journey there too. So they not only purchase from Amazon, but they use that as a search engine now.
Oh, yeah.
We do a lot of contextual targeting. So we can't do a lot of pay-per-click or Facebook, but with Yahoo Native, we're able to target our ads to that audience. We're able to go into retail locations where we know 35-plus-year-olds go to. So pharmacists, physical therapy locations, as well as a small grocery chain. So we focus on that aspect of retail, as well as kind of just, asking someone 35-plus, or just anyone for that matter. If you like the product, write a review and refer your friend. And we get some good traction just from asking that. Also events too. So, I mean, it's crazy to think, but we were at a boat show last year. Back in early 2020. And people were like, why are you guys there? You're a CBD company, right? And it's all about audience. Who's buying boats? It's
right. Yeah,
somebody,
smart.
Yeah, it's somebody 35 plus with some income, some cash to burn. And that was one of our best events. We were there Wednesday through Sunday. We built up a good customer base. We helped a lot of people out, and we still have a lot of customers from that event. So, I mean, we meet the consumers where they're at. So think about where the 35-plus-year-old wants to live a healthy lifestyle with discretionary income where they are, and align that contextually with kind of what content do they read online, and that's how we get to that 35 plus market.
Yeah, it's smart. And then why go to like a CBD show when you're one of a million, right? You're at the boat show, you're probably the only CBD company there, so you stand out.
Exactly. And we get approached by, there's nothing wrong with that, like CBD companies and hemp companies and marijuana companies. Actually, there's a New York Expo, and they were after us, and they're like, it's a great way to distribute your product. Now, if we were vertically integrated and we could sell the raw product to some people, maybe, but
right.
How we're built, it makes more sense for us to look at consumers who, we can educate when we meet them, or we're in retail stores where they can educate because we give them all the material to do that, instead of just being in, one of, many.
So many, right? Yeah.
In an expo. So it's interesting.
So you talk about education. What are some things people should look for? So I think people are watching and listening. They're like, all right, I like this guy. I like what he's saying. I want to buy some. So you're staring at the shelf at the pharmacy or looking at line at all the options. How do you know it's good? How do you know what it's going to do for you? Like, what do you look for when you go to purchase a CBD product?
Sure. So the first thing you look for is if the product is third-party tested from an ISO certified facility. So all of our products are third-party tested with C4 Laboratories. It's a company through Confident Cannabis. So we do batch testing. We send them a few of our products for each SKU, and they test one out of the batch. And what they do is they test not only what they call a cannabinoid profile. So we'll show you, okay, this says it's 500 milligrams of CBD in the box. It matches that, but also what are the other cannabinoids? CBN, CBG, CBC, and look at the terpene profile, as well as some other factors, right? So you look at foreign material, any solvents too. So solvents is a big one. So a lot of people use alcohol or some other substances like that as solvents. Our products are all CO2 extracted, so we don't use any solvents. So the first thing they need to do is look at third-party test results. It could either be a QR code on the label, or we give our retailers a physical batch. We're going to go to the QR code now that there's QR code adoption, but prior to the pandemic, there was like a very small percentage of people that use QR codes. So we gave a retailer a pamphlet display as well as our third-party batch results for each product that they were carrying. So that's the most important. The second thing to look for in a product really is price them out. So if something seems high-end, but it's the same content, 1,000 milligrams as another product, kind of price them out. If you're in a store, you can look at similar comps. If you're online, you can definitely just do another Google search and find another company. So look at similar products and try not to fall for the gimmicks, right? So they're like the, I hate to kind of disparage any brand, but they're the brands that have very high milligrams at a low price point, or they're kind of like CBD tea bags and CBD gum.
I've seen CBD coffee, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. It's hip, and a lot of people did that in 2018, 2019. Now we're, as an industry, I think we're peeling back and focusing more on some different products that are, give a user a benefit, and all those like gimmicky products are getting washed away. So definitely look at the third-party testing, price your options out, and don't fall for the gimmicks.
Sure. And what about marijuana? We know they're different, but as more states push towards legalization of recreational marijuana, do you think that's going to impact CBD industry at all?
Yeah. So the CBD industry was projected to be a $23 billion industry by 2025.
Wow.
And that was before I think states right now, it makes sense for them to legalize recreational marijuana just for tax purposes. I mean, you look at kind of Nevada and Colorado, their tax base is increased because of this. That's a whole new revenue source. So it makes sense. I think it will, but with us, our products are designed for people that don't want to get high. I mean, David's mother is a perfect example. Yeah. So like she was 86 years old, and she had her card, her, I guess, medical card, right? In, I want to say PA, or I think it was PA. And she used an inhaler. And, one of her doctors actually recommended, hey, try medical marijuana. She hated it because it got her high, So we're after the people that don't want to get high, but want to live a healthy lifestyle and be well and enjoy their life. So we're not focused on that. I think that's going to take away from a lot of CBD brands that, appeal to, the market that wants to smoke vape, that do Delta 8. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just not who we are. So it's going to impact the industry. I think sales aren't going to hit that 25 billion mark that they were going to project it to be, or 23 billion mark. But I think the brands that stick to who they are and stick to the products that got them where they are, they're going to rise to the top.
Yeah, it makes sense. Might impact the industry, but you're not worried about it impacting you guys necessarily. You've got what you're focused on. Makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, got any advice for the competition? If anybody else out there is looking to start this, what do you say to people looking to get into the game?
Yeah, so I mean, do your homework. I was fortunate enough to have a partner that holds 3 patents for different consumer products. So he had a wide range of knowledge and a base. So he had not mentors, but he can tap into knowledge of pharmacists. He knew, he wasn't afraid of calling around and getting, talking to a farmer about, what to look for in hemp and the biomass and stuff like that. So definitely do your homework. People think it's like this big gold rush, but you have to put in the work too. So definitely, do your homework, get educated, know your numbers. So that's the biggest thing. So understanding your numbers, and that goes with any business, right? So what are you going to sell for? What's your cost of product? What's your cost of acquisition? A lot of people don't factor that into any product or any business. Factor that in. If you want to pay yourself from the company, understand that it's going to be a journey. Relish a journey. It is going to be a journey. So you have to have a safety net of money that you can tap into just to live on, and you're going to have to sacrifice as well. So look at different tactics that people aren't doing right now. So we looked at the event space because there weren't a lot of CBD companies doing events, and we hired some people to do events for us, and that was our niche. We're in pharmacists and physical therapy locations. That's our niche. So find your niche as well. Find what other people aren't doing and capitalize on that.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Really like the event example you gave about the boat show. I mean, I think that is, you knew your audience, you knew the demographics, and so you show up where they are. You don't have to make it too hard. You found your niche. I think that's great advice.
Yeah, definitely.
So you mentioned journey. I asked this of everybody because I think it's a perfect way to cap off a conversation like the one we've had. When you think about Dorsi Health and everything that's taken you to this conversation, how would you describe this journey you've been on in business in 3 words? It could be a phrase, or it could be 3 individual words. It's up to you.
I would say 3 words, like humbling, rewarding, and entertaining. So I'll elaborate. So like humbling, because I come from a marketing background. So I started my career in digital marketing. When I started the business, I'm like, I'm going to blow it away. List on Amazon, eBay, do pay-per-click, do all that stuff. It's humbling to understand that, the marketplace controls everything, not you. So you could be the best digital marketer, you could be the best marketer, but the marketplace really has control over that. So it was humbling in that, rewarding because we were able to launch. My partner and I were able to, help out small businesses and retailers that carry our product. We're able to help out the people that work events. We're able to help out the people that, most importantly, that take our product. So it's definitely rewarding. And the third is just entertaining. Like my partner is totally different than me. He's 65 years old. He
Nice.
is, yeah. And just like talking to him about, direction of the company and, just his thought process, my thought process, and just, day to day, just interacting with him. It's just entertaining. There's never a dull moment, especially when you roll a business into it. So we're friends and partners in the business. So I think that's really important in a relationship, is to have kind of not only work with someone that you like, and they always say, do what you love and you never work a day in your life.
Right.
If you're an entrepreneur, find a business partner that you can have fun with on a daily basis, and it's not even like you're working. You're going to have fun while you work, and you're going to have fun throughout the struggles, and you're going to have fun throughout the successes as well.
Love that. Well, everyone watching, if you're checking it out on video or listening back on the podcast, thanks for hanging out with me and Paul. And be sure to go over to dorsihealth.com to look at everything he's talked about here today and buy something. Right? Put some money in that guy's pocket, that account he can pull from, like he said. So thanks for being here. Also on the ticker below, if you're watching the video, or in the show notes, if you're listening back to the podcast, we've got their email address. It's info@dorsihealth.com if you got any questions. And be sure to follow them on Instagram @Dorsi_health and check out what they got going on social media. So Paul, thanks for joining me and for sharing your journey with me and the listeners. And I wish you the best of luck in everything you're doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Miles.